hello to everyone, and I hope you're all having a fantastic week so far. I just wanted to, I suppose, initially introduce myself. My name is Ian, one of the co-founders of LegitFit, and essentially what we do is provide management software for health, fitness, and wellness professionals. And I suppose today we'll be kind of going through kind of our story and I suppose kind of what we did well and what has helped us to get to where we are now, but also kind of the mistakes that we made and hopefully kind of help people learn from our own mistakes. But I've no doubt that there's far more experience and knowledgeable people on this call as well than myself. So I'm always up for kind of engagement and interaction. So never be hesitant. So as interactive as possible would be fantastic. So I suppose my own kind of, I'm one of the founders, but also the CCO. So that initially was the Chief Commercial Officer, but I prefer maybe the Chief Customer Officer, to be quite honest about it. But with the agenda really is kind of going through the history of LegitFit and kind of what problem we saw within the industry, and I suppose the solution that we provided. Also about ourselves being like a customer, having a customer centric ethos. So again, we from the start were always, our customers are number one, and we always want to do as much as we possibly can to help them basically progress in their own business, and then inevitably that helping us kind of grow our business to where we wanted to go. Again, kind of I suppose the whole situation with COVID, how that impacted the health, fitness, and wellness industry, the learnings we took from it, and I suppose the actions that we did as well, and then the belief and drive. So basically, because as entrepreneurs, you do obviously have to have belief and drive in order to be successful, but also that belief and drive can be, I suppose, rocked at different parts of your journey. And then kind of just a quick one of basically what's next for LegitFit as a company, where we see ourselves going. And then questions and answers. So hopefully there'll be a lot of time for questions and answers once I don't rumble on. But we'll kind of start with, I suppose, how we started. So back in kind of 2017, we had an initial idea, and I'll kind of go into that a bit deeper, that we changed, we pivoted through our market research. But I suppose the three co-founders is myself, and my own background is working within the health, fitness, and wellness industry, running my own personal training business while studying in CIT. And Ryan, who I would have known since we were very young, we were rival goalkeepers on different teams, and we ended up being rival keepers with Cork City as well. So we used to like each other, but we do now. And then we have Gearoid Collins, who's our CTO, and previous to that, he would have been the head of growth, international growth with SurveyMonkey. And then Ryan and Gearoid would have known each other when they were growing up as well. So we all kind of have a connection from being very young, even though we mightn't have been on good terms for most of it. But then I suppose what we did was we had that initial idea. We wanted to go out and we wanted to talk to the markets. We obviously had done our market research with our qualitative and quantitative research. And then we went into Ignite. And basically Ignite was fantastic for us in UCC. And I would implore anyone that has an idea that is just starting out to get in contact with Eamon and the team in Ignite, because they were a fantastic foundation for us to build on. I cannot say enough good things about it. And if anybody is in use or Ignite at the moment, or had been in Ignite, if you feel Eamon doesn't like you at the start, that means you're on the right track, because we genuinely thought he didn't like us, because anytime we went in there, we had our work done and he was tearing it apart, which was needed. Looking back in hindsight, it was really good for us, because he just was seeing any holes that were there and he was just pointing them out. So yeah, Ignite was really good for us. It allowed us to go from the actual idea to going to basically a business. And then we kind of, I suppose, built, while we were in Ignite UCC, again, it was a year-long course, so it gave us a lot of, I suppose, freedom and time to build what we wanted to build, but also make mistakes along the way and learn from those mistakes, and I suppose have contact with a fantastic network that they have in Ignite UCC. And what we did initially of how we started to build our product, and we continue to do this today, and more so maybe to bring the team together, but was through hackathons. So we used to go in, basically rent out a house out in the middle of nowhere, and invite kind of the initial team that we had at the time, but also invite kind of anybody who was interested to come and work with us. And we've done a lot of our initial hiring actually through that, because over the weekend it allows you to basically have a bit of fun, be relaxed, still work, but learn about the new people that are coming in, and seeing if they work well within a group setting, and also seeing the quality of their work, but also from their point of view, it was an interview process for them with us as well to see, is it a company that they would like to go and work with. And then kind of from there, we went to New Frontiers in CIT. And it kind of worked out really well in terms of that we didn't really plan from going into Ignite UCC to New Frontiers, but it worked out really well for us because Ignite allowed us business to our idea to business, where New Frontiers allowed us to go from the business to bringing basically our product to market. And we kind of launched our product then basically in 2019. And we actually had, I lie slightly. So we launched in 2018 when we were in Ignite UCC, and it was a disaster. It did not work, system didn't work, product didn't work. So we had to go back to the drawing board, and it took us another few months to launch. And we basically launched in 2019, and that is Cian O'Connor, who was our first ever customer, and luckily enough still a customer to today. And then we went, I suppose, luckily enough, we've done all the local enterprise kind of or money getting from them to be able to kind of keep progressing. And then luckily we got onto the CSF with Enterprise Ireland in 2020, and we will actually be on their HPSU when we're closing out our seed round of investment, which I can kind of go into a bit more detail later on. And then I suppose kind of we were doing well, we were happy with our progress, and then obviously the whole pandemic kicked in. And basically we kind of pivoted our business, which I'll go into a bit more detail, by the integration of something simple with the integration of Zoom into the platform, allowing our clients to basically continue to run their business while not being able to open their doors physically. And then I suppose kind of like initially what we did was going back to that market research that we were doing. We found, we had an initial idea, which I'll go into a bit more detail in a minute, but we found, I suppose, there was kind of my own background, I didn't have any system in place when I was running my own personal training business, and I knew I needed to get a system in place, but my demographic was older clients, and any system I looked out there, or software I looked out there, was either too expensive, had too much functionality for what I needed, or was just too complex to use for my clients' or use or my own use. So we had a chat about that. We went out, talked to the market, and we kind of interestingly found that 50% of the market weren't using any system. So, and then 50% of the market were using a system. But I suppose the common thread was that they wanted something built that was, I suppose, streamlined and was built for usability and not utility. Because a lot of our competitors out there have systems that have loads of functionalities, but are really cumbersome in use, and you nearly need someone basically physically to be sitting down and working on it day in, day out, where a lot of the professionals and small to medium-sized businesses are on the go an awful lot. But what we found is, it was well with our market research, is basically anybody that didn't have a system, they were losing out in 10K per annum due to kind of the admin work, the time they were spending on admin work, cancellations that they were dealing with. So again, we were able to provide them with a solution to help them make an extra €10,000 per year. But then also with the people that had been using a current software provider, we were able to provide a more easier to use solution that was more tailor made to the business size that they were. And we were still able, I suppose, came in cheaper price, and were able to provide them with a saving, but mostly provide them with a bit of better value offering, but especially customer service that we provide, because we I suppose take great care and detail into every single one of our customers and their journey with us, which I'll kind of go into a bit more detail as well in a minute. So that was kind of the problem we were solving. We found out what the cost of the problem was. We found out, I suppose, the value of our solution, and especially if you're going into Ignite or any of these accelerators, those are the basic numbers that they'll want to be knowing. So I suppose that's the initial part of the market research, finding that out. And then again, the solution that we were able to provide is an easy to use that focuses on the 20% that customers actually want and use. And again, going for that usability rather than utility enterprise model. And a lot of our professionals, again, in today's day and age, are on the go, on the mobile. Again, don't have time really to be sitting down at a computer and doing their work from there. So basically what our service offering was, or what we wanted to do, is we wanted to help our customers be the best versions of themselves and the best version of the business that they can. And that's just through, I suppose, bettering their retention rates through communication and relationship management tools, enhancing service offerings, so through real-time data and reviews, slashing cancellations with online payments and deposits and a marketplace, and then trimming down that admin work as well. So that was a simple one. And then I suppose before kind of going on to our kind of customers and how, I suppose, to treat them the best way possible, you obviously need to get customers on board. First of all, so we use our like market research as the start of our sales process. First of all, we had an initial idea of a marketplace where we were connecting basically professionals and clientele. So having that marketplace where you as a fitness enthusiast can go on and search for a fitness provider or yoga instructor or physiotherapist easily. But we did our market research and we found out that wasn't basically a big enough problem, or it wasn't viably commercial for us to do without putting a lot of money into marketing spend. So we then pivoted and realized from my own experience, but also going out there. So we did our initial market research. We went out and did over 100, I suppose, qualitative interviews with people within the industry and sent out thousands of quantitative surveys. And that's basically how we came up with our market research and found a solution that was wanted in the industry, really. So again, it allows you, first of all, to know, is the problem that you want to solve big enough? And is your idea solution valuable enough? And then don't be afraid to pivot. So don't try and hold on to that initial idea. Learn from it and be open to changing, because I think a lot of businesses actually end up pivoting from their initial idea anyway. And I suppose it's the ability to make a good first impression that leads to a long-term relationship. So again, we have customers still today that were initially our beta group. They did have to go through that initial launch and it didn't work. So again, we made a good enough first impression that they were able to get over the fact that the system didn't work correctly the first time around. So we're delighted to keep them on board. But it's definitely an ability for you to start kind of gaining that network and continuing to keep a network or a feedback loop with that network. And just remember, you're not selling, you're learning, but you're always selling, if that makes sense. So you're not hard selling. You want to learn as much as possible, keep in contact with your customers, not just in the initial market research phase, but when you have customers, like being in contact with them as much as possible on a daily basis and learning from their insights is like, it has helped us so much. And that's one, I suppose, great decision that we made, was the continuous feedback loop with our customers. And then I suppose learn who your ideal customer is and who isn't. Again, that can be, it's actually very hard to do at the start. And even sometimes, because you want to get sales in, and you might kind of get over it, or this might be a right customer, but I think we can get them in and if they start using the product. So if you can nail down your ideal customer and not waste time on trying to get people on board just for the sake of getting people on board, that will really kind of save on time kind of moving forward. I suppose identify who is your early adopter as well and ask them to be in a beta group if you're just starting out, especially from, I suppose, this is more from a SaaS point of view. And then keep your network updated on progress, because we've had people that when we initially started out, we would touch base with 3 years ago, and some of them are becoming customers now because we have certain features that they would have needed in order to switch over. So if someone says no, again, that can turn into a yes down the line. So never try not to take it to heart, which can be difficult at times as well. And then I suppose other updated ways that how we kind of grew from there then as well was we literally went to pretty much every county in Ireland, basically stay there for a week and was just knocking on doors and doing the hard graft that way, going in, introducing ourselves, getting them to know our face. And that's how we initially got a lot of our early customers, was genuinely just knocking on doors multiple times and getting to see the owner of the facility. We're obviously can't do that at the moment, where we're after breaking into the UK market now. We probably would do that if because it worked for us initially for the initial couple of customers. But a lot of the time what we're doing now is a thing called video forms. So that's a really good tool that I wanted to bring up, where it's basically a personalized video, and it has been really powerful for us, because it's, even if you're giving a cold email, it's more of a warm intro, just because they can see your face, hear your voice. And that since we brought that in January, where the sales that we've made from it has paid for itself for the next 2 or 3 years. So definitely check that one up from a sales point of view as well. So basically, I suppose wanting to kind of, what is your vision? Asking yourself as a startup, what is your vision? It was kind of simple from our point of view off the bat. I suppose luckily enough, it came natural to me in terms of wanting to engage with people and really genuinely helping them, because my previous life was helping people to go on and achieve their fitness goals. And it's just kind of slightly pivoted where now I'm helping people to go on and achieve their business goals. So we want to be simply the most customer-centric company and build something that truly impacts global fitness and wellness. And again, our core values, collaboration, everything that we do. stronger together, superior service at every step, hashtag deliver happiness, driving for change and betterment, and then hashtag, I suppose, inspire growth. And we don't just kind of say that's our culture. We genuinely are customer obsessed. And when I say obsessed, in a sense that initially when we were starting, I would still do it where my girlfriend and my family probably don't enjoy it too much, but it could be 10 o'clock at night, a customer will message me expecting me to get back to them in the morning, and yeah, I just can't. I have to get back to them there and then. I'm in a position now where we're getting staff on board, and it's more bringing that culture into them, where not that they have to do it at 10 o'clock, but in terms of the care and detail that we put into every single one of our customers. And I'm not saying that's a healthy thing to do in terms of staying up really late, messaging your customers back, but that really has kind of helped drive us on in terms of the quickness of our replies, and also, I suppose, the personalization that we bring into our support with our customers. And we, luckily enough, and we're really proud of it, is that we have, I suppose, 5-star ratings across all our review platforms. So Trustpilot, if you check it up, there's loads of good reviews there. Again, this is just a snippet basically of and what's a good thing as well is if you could find out where basically your target market go and basically ask each other questions. Or so there's, for us, it's the Irish Fitness Professionals page where people sell equipment up there and ask for recommendations. So yeah, anytime there's someone asking for a recommendation, lucky enough, that's 90% of the, or 95% of the comments you see there are all LegitFit. And that didn't happen overnight in terms of the name that we have within the industry. It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of graft. So if that doesn't come naturally to you in terms of wanting to engage with people, you might be the other person that deals with the funding side of things and the strategy side of things, then basically get someone in that has a passion for engaging with people and working with people. So it's easy at the start initially when you're doing all the customer support yourself, where you have control over the quality of the customer service that you can provide. We're in a position now where we're bringing people on board, and it's just making sure that you hire the right people. And there's no guarantee you will hire the right people, but it's ensuring that culture of being customer obsessed continues, because as you scale, I think that will become more and more difficult. But it's, for our point of view, we do want to become the best at customer service. I think Stripe are a fantastic example of that, where basically you ask them to give you a call, they call you within 3 minutes, which is awesome. So I'm taking a lot of learnings from how Stripe are going. But again, it's one of those ones, like if you genuinely, I suppose, care about your customers' business more than you care about their money, you'll keep making more and more money from them and because of them. And if you genuinely care, I believe the possibilities are endless. Your customers are the foundation of your company's success and growth. When you're starting out, you may not have as much money as your competitors, your product mightn't be as good as your competitors, but for us, the one thing that we knew that we could do better than our competitors was the customer service that we provided, and the detail that we put into them. And I suppose instilling that culture and caring genuinely for your customers will allow you to grow and scale the business with the help of your customers, because they'll become champions of your product, like you can see here. And they'll also become investors, because I suppose, well, potentially, like when we were opening up our seed round, we used that video form, like I was saying earlier. And what we thought it would be a really cool idea to give our customers basically a chance to be even more in-depthly, I suppose, connected with our journey. And yeah, that we were just inundated. We were extremely surprised and happy with what came back. So our customers are one of the leaders in our seed round. And then from a competitor's point of view, it's like if there's big competitors like ours, as MindBody or Glowfox, I feel it's easy for them maybe to copy a process, but it's really more difficult to be able to copy a culture. And so that's what we're continually trying to instill moving forward. And I suppose kind of ways to deliver great customer service. So like onboard like a pro. So we kind of like, this is a learning for us, because we didn't initially onboard like a pro. We feel like we're doing it now, but so like what we did, the mistake we were making initially, because I suppose the highest churn we've ever had was to the initial couple of months when we launched the product, and we weren't onboarding people correctly. So we have now, I think, become extremely efficient at it, and very confident in our ability to bring anyone on board, whether that's from a different system or someone who's coming new, and I feel the team are very strong at that. But I suppose onboarding, and this is more specific to SaaS or software really, but maximizing the benefits for your clients. So on the onboarding, what we'll do is we'll kind of, I suppose, ask a lot of questions about their business model, find out how they work, do they have memberships, do they have packages, just different things, what sessions they run. And we want to basically maximize and know our product inside out, so we can basically bring as much value to them as possible. And then also kind of onboarding process, it allows you to build that initial relationship if you hadn't talked to them before, and I suppose ensuring that there's less support needed moving forward, because if you don't onboard correctly, then there's going to be a lot more support needed. So even from a time efficiency point of view with support moving forward, getting them set up correctly first time off helps a lot, not just for the relationship, but also from a support timeline. And then I suppose problem solve inventively. So again, there's always going to be problems, always. So it's about your ability to solve them, and even trying to bring extra value to it as well. I suppose a lot of customers churn because of the poor customer service that they get. And it's not even that basic. I think a lot of people, we see, even with our competitors, we see like bugs happening, but what people really dislike is if they're not being listened to, or the issue that they raised hasn't been fixed within a reasonable period of time. So we have a few different examples of this, which I'll go into more about, kind of the Zoom and different things like that. But even like, say, if we don't have something in the system, what we do is we get them set up on a system that can kind of do it for them. So like maybe a free software like Typeform or Zapier or MailChimp that can kind of do some jobs that we can't do. But yeah, trying to solve their problem and then kind of bring extra value to them if you can. And then kind of humanize your service. So kind of help your customers fall in love with your business and your product. And how we do that really is through WhatsApp support. So WhatsApp support has been fantastic for us, because what we do is we do a lot of it through voice notes. So it actually saves a lot more on time rather than trying to get back to emails or typing things out. So we kind of use our support on a website for our customers' clients, if that makes sense. So the gym users and stuff like that would usually go to our support page if they needed support, and then all the business support goes through WhatsApp. And again, it just helps build up that relationship. That relationship with customers as well, because the customers want to interact with a person and not a company. Again, your customers are the purpose of your business, and you should help make them feel that way as well, because they're not dependent on your business, but you are dependent on their business. So yeah, we feel again, mightn't be for everyone, but we really, I think WhatsApp has helped us kind of gain that relationship and strong relationships that we have with our clients. And then kind of, I suppose, active participation. So making your customers feel part of your journey. And I think we did well with this as well, because we've always and loudly said to all our customers that we want as much engagement as possible in terms of, if you want basically feedback, and keeping them in a feedback loop, and making sure then that their feedback is followed through on, that someone comes to you with something that they like. Again, the way we kind of prioritize feedback is every quarter what we'll do is we'll send out a questionnaire to our customers in terms of what they want in terms of feedback to be brought into the product, and then we'll send out all the feedback that we got within the quarter, and basically get our customers to vote on what they would like to see. And then basically the more votes, the higher prioritization. The lower ones, it's not like they won't get looked at, but again, we prioritize it through our customers' feedback. And then every quarter, or at least twice or 3 times a year, what we'll do is we'll set up a call basically with all our customers, or as many as want to join. And yeah, just again, trying to make them feel part of our journey, because they are basically integral to where we are today and where we want to get to next. And then I suppose kind of anticipate your customer needs. So so it's, again, it can be difficult, but it's more so kind of, I suppose, understanding what's going on within the environment or within the market that you're working in, and trying to be, I suppose, like that, again, like thought leaders within the industry, or knowing what's coming along. For example, what we did was we kind of, after we integrated Zoom, we kind of understood that basically video on demand would be a really important one for clients, that if a customer could make an online live class, that they could basically get a on-demand video. So we introduced that without, I suppose, feedback from clients that they needed it or wanted it, but we introduced it, and yeah, it's been a hit from our customers' point of view. So that's just an example of how we kind of maybe anticipated our customer needs in a certain situation. And then I suppose fix your mistakes and respond quickly. So we've made mistakes. We'll continue to make mistakes probably, but we'll try and minimize them as much as possible moving forward. But again, it's about being open and honest to customers when you do make mistakes. One of them was, for example, when the clocks changed last October. So we obviously have a timetable on our that clients can book into and different things like that. But the system didn't recognize that the clocks were going forward, and we just kind of realized it basically a week prior to the clocks going forward, and we were like, oh no, this isn't going to go well. So basically what we did, we went into the war room and we decided that we were just going to stop everything for that week, from a tech point of view, from a sales point of view, and not really, we couldn't stop support because that always has to happen. But what we did was basically signed into everybody's system individually and basically manually edited their timetables to line up with the correct time changes. And lucky enough that worked out for us. We told our customers, they were delighted that we fixed it. But again, you can't, even when you do make mistakes, it doesn't always work out. But it's not having any regret in terms of, I could have done more for this customer and they might have stayed. So if you do make a mistake and it leads to a customer leaving, that is going to happen. It actually happened to us recently. It happened to us last Monday. So it was the Friday beforehand. One of our staff was onboarding basically a client, and so initially we add their client's details to the system and send them out an invitation email to join the system, and then they can start booking and paying for the service. So he basically was adding 900 of their customers to the system, and it sent out 2 emails that had no links that were working basically. So there was basically a couple of rogue emails that kind of messed up our system. So they weren't too happy because they were getting calls and emails and messages off a few hundred of their customers wondering what was going on. So what we did is we did the best thing we could, or put in the best effort we could. We found what the issue was. We basically fixed the issue. We sent out an apology to all their customers through email, and we added them, and it worked that time. But then we got a call off the customer on Monday, and they said they were going to stay with their current provider. So that was very disappointing. But other than obviously the issue with the system, we felt we did everything in our power to remedy that, and that hasn't happened us often. So when it does happen, you do take it to heart. But again, yeah, you can only do your best at times, and some things are out of your control. So you do have to keep that in mind as well. And then basically keep your word and trust and respect. So yeah, when you make promises, try, especially when because I'm not a developer myself, so I'm more the business fitness side of things and customer side of things. But especially with developers, they might give you like a date that they might have things done, and then you're passing that date on to customers, and then they're not hitting it, and then customers are wondering, I thought you'd have this and that time. So we kind of learned that early on, is not to make those kind of promises that you don't have control over keeping yourself. The only promises that I'll make is the ones that I know I can basically keep, or I trust wholeheartedly that the promise I'm making will be kept by someone else. And that could be, for example, putting in 16-hour days, or staying up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, doing a job that you told that your customer would have to do. So again, you will need to make promises in order to get customers on board, but it's about your ability to follow through and do your best not to break your word, because again, it is, in terms of the relationship with your clients, it is all about trust and respect. And then I suppose, like, going into kind of, I suppose, COVID and lockdown, what we did, which really helped us in the long term, was that I suppose first week anyway, I spent in my pajamas thinking the world was going to end when the initial lockdown happened. And then I suppose we got our stuff together and basically met with a few of our customers, was wondering what's going to happen, how we want to fix this, or what's the best outcome for everyone. So what we did is we decided to bring and integrate Zoom fairly quickly. I think we were the first out of our competitors like MindBody or Glowfox or any of those to actually integrate Zoom into the platform. It wasn't a eureka moment. It was just maybe the size of the business that we were just a bit more agile. And what we did is we called hundreds of our customers, basically got them on meetings. We educated ourselves on how to best run a fitness business online. And we sat down and spent an hour or whatever with each customer and getting them up online, educating them how to best run their business through Zoom or different video platforms. And luckily enough, that came to fruition because our customers were very appreciative of it, because we were there basically in their time of need, and we stepped up to the mark when they really needed us. And what we did, again, just going that extra little bit as well, we set up and brought in experts in different fields like videography and how to best run or market your business through video, experts in lead generation, in email marketing, and we basically done this host of different webinars that our customers really they get value from as well. So that was kind of what we did during the lockdown. And once the lockdown ended, we were so inundated that with new people coming in that had been referred to us, that we were working 16, 17-hour days for a couple of weeks straight, and I was kind of getting delirious at the end of it. But no, we were happy to do it, to be quite honest about it. And it was a simple, and wasn't like, I'm not saying that like the integration of Zoom was like a super difficult thing for us to do. It wasn't, but we just reacted quickly to it, and yeah, it worked out for us, thankfully enough. So then what our customers did over that period of time is basically they went completely online. They adjusted their business model. They ran things through Zoom. They had private groups, I suppose, adjusted their business model, set up new businesses in some case, and brought in new tools to maximize it. Because I suppose we obviously, as a company, LegitFit, we provide the software, management software, to help fitness businesses run their business more effectively, efficiently, while also bringing as much value to their clients' experience as possible. But because of our own, I suppose, experience within the industry, and also working with hundreds of companies in 7 different countries, we're learning all the time, and we're becoming, lucky enough, maybe the experts in that situation. So a lot of the time, we're not just supplying them the software, we're also kind of advising them a lot of the times on pricing structures and different things like that as well, to bring as much value to them as we possibly can. And then I suppose kind of next up really is kind of like, it can be at times, especially initially the lockdown, you get your belief and your drive can be hit. So we kind of, I suppose, wanted to kind of run through that. So I suppose to achieve anything worthwhile, you need to believe in your ability, you need to drive to execute on that belief. And I suppose your beliefs determine a significant portion of your life. They inform your decisions, they determine how you react to different situations, and even, I suppose, affect how you interact with the people around you. And this goes for any type of belief, whether it's, I suppose, political, religious, philosophical, but you need to kind of recognize those inner beliefs and the ones that are affecting your decisions, and I suppose adjust, or at least consider them accordingly. There are some beliefs that have the potential, I suppose, to make you a more successful entrepreneur, and those beliefs generally, I suppose, empower you to work harder, allow them to make better decisions, and I suppose while resisting obstacles. Simply, we probably all have heard of these as well. I suppose believing that anything is possible, because if you don't believe that you can, I suppose, build a multi-million euro company and you don't feel you can do it, you're never going to put in the effort that it takes to create one. If you think your business can't compete with your biggest competitors, you'll lose enthusiasm and eventually fold under the pressure. I suppose believing that things are flat out impossible becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Instead, successful, I suppose, business owners have the mindset that anything is possible with the, I suppose, the right amount of investment in knowledge and time. And I suppose once that kind of belief doesn't turn into arrogance, then it will allow you to set higher goals and empower you to work harder as well. And then I suppose, like, the hard work, it will pay off, just even though it might take years to see it. So again, I suppose any entrepreneur out there, I suppose money initially isn't maybe a driving force. It's more trying to build something that you're proud of being involved in. And I suppose with entrepreneurs, I suppose we have the fundamental belief that hard work pays off. Even if it takes hours, weeks, months, or even years to kind of see it, we have faith that the outcome will be valuable. I suppose the key difference between successful entrepreneurs is that they're able to envision and embrace a long-term payoff. I suppose delayed gratification is the point I'm getting to. So if you're not seeing the fruits of your labor now, and it is really difficult, just continue moving forward with it, because it just needs that lucky break or that customer review to help you get to where you want to get to. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's okay to make mistakes. So essentially, even experts make mistakes all of the time. If you're a perfectionist, you'll suffer in a number of different ways. You'll set goals that are too high, and if you don't meet them, you'll be down in the dumps about it. You'll be deflated and discouraged. And then, like, if you wait until everything is perfect to launch your product or bring out your MVP, as you can see, we definitely didn't have a perfect MVP when we initially launched, and even our MVP when we launched wasn't fantastic, but we built it through feedback and continuous iteration on it as well. And just kind of embrace your mistakes, learn from them, but just make sure that they don't stop you from moving forward as well. And then I know there's, like, I see a lot of the time, I see kind of sole founders, which is cool, and if you can do it on your own, fantastic stuff. But I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it, I don't think, the lads, without having those initial founders involved. So, like, even if you manage to build something amazing yourself through your efforts alone, it's still because of people in your life that have taught you and supported you as you did. Even if it's like building a social media following from scratch, you're relying on outsiders to help and support your own initiative. And in that respect, you're always going to be relying on people. So the trick is to do as much of it yourself as you can, and then surround you by the most talented, capable, and respectable people you can find, and everything else will take care of itself. And then I suppose lastly really is you must take risks to become comfortable in the uncomfortable. And initially going out and making that decision to open and start your own business is a risk in itself. And congratulations even on anybody that has done so. And it's kind of true, not all risks are equal, or not all risks are worth taking. But if you separate the pool of risk takers into non-risk takers, eventually statistically the risk takers come out on top. And it's not that you're going to go out and take every risk under the sun, but taking those calculated risks and ensuring, I suppose, one of my things is that I never want to look back in 60, or I probably won't live that long, but even say 40 years time, looking back, that I didn't not make a go of it, and not have that regret where I didn't put myself out there and see what can happen, because I'd rather fail at it than not knowing if I could succeed. So I suppose what's next for LegitFit? So we've really cool, interesting things going up. I suppose, like, we've hundreds of customers in 7 different countries at the moment. 95% of our customer base is in Ireland. So we're, again, putting a lot of effort at the moment into the UK. And we've two really like exciting announcements coming soon. Legally, we can't say it yet, but one is to do with the US, and the other one, hopefully will be said sooner rather than later. And then we just recently, at the moment, closing out our seed round. So we've raised 650K to date, and that's kind of through being on the HPSU at Enterprise Ireland, which was fantastic for us. Private investors and our customers as well, who were one of the leaders, thankfully enough. And we're hopefully big news to come about maybe a US expansion coming soon. But yeah, that's kind of about it really for me, guys. I hope I didn't waffle on too much, and I appreciate your time and patience. And yeah, genuinely would love kind of being asked any kind of questions or queries that arise from it if I missed out on anything.
Thanks so much, Ian. If anyone has any questions, you can unmute yourself and you can ask Ian, or if you want to pop them into the chat box, I can call them out for you as well. And we'll just give it another couple of minutes for the questions.
I had a question.
Go ahead, Diane.
Yes.
Not the way that you had to manually go in and change the stuff when the clocks went forward. Are you going to have to do that the next time again?
No, thankfully not. No. So we made sure that was one of the main things we wanted to make sure. So no, luckily enough, we didn't. So the clocks just changed recently, I believe. So I was kind of sweating to just in case I started getting any support the next day. But no, the guys kind of ensured that, because what had happened with that was one of our a developer that had been working with us had done, it's called recurring timetable. So what you could do is, like, you can do your, say, timetable out for a week, and you can record on to happen for the next year or 2 years. 2 years down the line, very easy to make edits and stuff. But the initial version of the recurring timetable that we had just wasn't, it was cumbersome and it wasn't great. So Gearoid, then our CTO, kind of changed it, made an update to it, but it was just that any previous person that had used the previous version of the recurring timetable was affected, which was pretty much all of them, because it was only a new release. But yeah, we kind of ensured that wouldn't happen again. But I'm sure something else will come up at a certain point.
And did that have an impact then in terms of, did people kind of, I suppose, you know, the way sometimes if you do good customer service, it ends up being better, where people are delighted with you than they were in the first place? Or like, did you end up losing customers over it, or, you know, did it kind of break even?
Yeah, no. So we lost absolutely no customer from it. Majority of the customers didn't know that there was something wrong with it until we told them after we fixed it. So we always wanted to be kind of open and upfront and honest with our customers. So we didn't really want to hide it, because we had it fixed for when they found out. And I suppose another thing, by providing like really good customer service and your customers genuinely like caring about you and you caring about them, like when you make mistakes, they'll be very forgiving of those mistakes. So yeah, a lot of our churn to date has been like, unfortunately through COVID, I think our churn is like 0.85%. I could be wrong with that figure, and that's per month. I think annually it's like 9.7. So I think we're really low regards churn, and like that's not just the quality of our product, but definitely the service that we provide, because they are forgiving of a mistake that you might make, because they understand that you're genuine and you're trying your best.
And we have another question.
The more the merrier anyway, guys, so keep shouting. Thanks, Diane.
So we have another one in the chat box there. I'll just call it out to you. So it says, out of interest, perhaps you will answer in a personal capacity, but what was the best pivot you saw someone else do in the last 12 months? Perhaps not in your immediate professional field, but what caught your eye? And Evelyn also says, thank you for the presentation.
No worries, my pleasure, guys. So that's a really good question. That is a really good question. In the last 12 months, like I can't think of anyone off the top of my head now the last 12 months, even though I will think of one after this call. The one that always pops into my head for some reason, and it was basically a talk that Pat Phelan gave at Ignite UCC, is how they pivoted even though they didn't really change anything per se within their product, but they changed the messaging of it. And I want to say it, but I might get it wrong. It was more, I won't say it because I probably will get it wrong, but I definitely know it was more so not the functionality or changing things within the product, but his was more of, or theirs was more of a messaging and maybe a different demographic or a target market that their system would work for, rather than maybe a certain demographic. So it doesn't always have to be changing the product or idea completely. It could be pivoting basically towards maybe a different market, or changing your messaging around what your product can offer.
Oh, thank you. And do we have any more questions? This is your moment if you have a question.
Yeah, hi Ian, I have a question, if that's okay.
Of course.
My name's Amy. I just finished the New Frontiers Phase 2 program in Cork in March. And I was just wondering, you know, when you like finish the accelerator and you're just kind of like left to your own devices, and
you're out in the real world. Yeah.
Out in the real world and doing your thing. So like, we're due to launch. I have this now like 3-month period. We're due to launch our end user product at the end of May, and like, I'm just like kind of so focused on that. From our goal, I suppose, from the marketing perspective, is to push it out and get users on the site. So in terms of user acquisition, what's the best strategy that you've found getting the initial users and early adapters onto your site?
Of course. And would you give me like a bit more of an insight into, like, say, what your product offers, and basically like who your target market is in terms of, is it B2B, B2C, or a combination of B2B and B2C?
It's a combination, but initially it's B2C. So our target market are job candidates in the UK and Ireland between the ages of 23 and 34, both male and female, working initially in the professional and financial services sector.
Excellent. So I suppose kind of like, say, even from our own kind of like our own marketing point of view, that's something that we are actually working on. We're looking for a growth manager to come in and actually help with our marketing, because we've like, since we launched the product, I think we've put like maybe €7,000 into marketing, which is like our competitors are putting 40k into marketing per month. So I wouldn't have like a total experience with kind of marketing. A lot of ours has been like outreach and just like literally kind of cold calls and different things like that. But I definitely think maybe LinkedIn would be more of a template for you to go to if it's looking for young professionals that are kind of looking for job applications. So
like we're already we already do a lot on LinkedIn in terms of content marketing, sneak peeks, and we've launched like a mini ad campaign now.
Yeah.
And Twitter as well. But we're just finding it really challenging to get that. Maybe it's our messaging as well, just to get that level of engagement and to kind of get that traction we're looking for. You know, like we have a really good engagement rate on our content posts. Like our engagement rate is about between 3 and 5% of every post. But it's just, I suppose, getting that traction to get the initial user sign up that we want, you know.
Cool. And do you have, like, say, so on the other side of it then, do you have companies that are looking for applicants, and it's more you trying to get the applicants to come on board and kind of sign up to it?
Yeah. So like initially the applicants sign up to it. Basically, we're looking to build an open database of curated candidates who are already pre-screened and pre-verified, so that the recruitment process runs essentially seamlessly and can be cut. The processing time can be cut by 50%. So one of that would be to get the candidates onboarded and then to license the access of the candidate database to recruiters to chime in and connect with them essentially.
Excellent. And what about, say, like, have you touched base, like, obviously you're in UCC and CIT and stuff like that. What about that pool of people just coming out of basically graduating?
Yeah, so those are the guys that we're looking to target at the moment, and it's the engagement is okay. It's looking quite, it's grand, it's fine. But I think we're finding it really challenging to find the message that would make them go like, holy shit, I need this right now.
Do you know what? So like Paul, who works in here as well, actually sent me on a really good. It's called Copy Ed. I'll just find it on my phone here now for you. 2 seconds.
What do you think of this? We still want you for the second touch.
So what I'll do is I'll grab your I'll grab your email, or if you want to take my email, it's ian@legitfit.com. That's outdated actually, so it's ian@legitfit.com. If you want to message me, there's a really good tool that Paul sent me on, and I wanted to look into it myself. But it was about you putting in, like, say, like your value prop, and then that spitting out like a lot of different ways of being able to say your value prop. And I think it has a lot more in-depthness as well in terms of for marketing purposes and posts and stuff like that. So I'll definitely send that on to you. I'll have to try and find it, but I think it's like called Copy Ed or something like that, or copy.ie or something. How is your self sign up? How's your site? Like, how easy is it to sign up to your software as well?
Well, at the moment we're taking sign up to our newsletters, and then we have a survey running at the moment where they consent to email marketing essentially. And then we kind of launch it that way as well. But it's just getting those numbers up right now, so that when we launch on day one or week one of launch, we'll have 1,000 end users, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And
because
I think
we can't launch the B2B until we have about 15 to 20,000 end users.
I get you. So it's kind of just pre-registration for now. What about, like, I always hear this word virality, about the ability for, like, people. So have you seen Bridge? I think Bridge do this really, really well. It's like a new connectivity app, and that could be something because they basically you can only be invited, you can only access it through an invite and different things like that, which makes it
like Clubhouse.
Yeah. So something along those lines. But it's like, what I would say from our point of view would be like to try and get into like these college classes and get people kind of registered within the class, if that makes sense. But obviously that's a lot more difficult. But is there any way of like you being able to go into some lectures and just basically kind of push what you're selling out to them?
Yeah, that's definitely something I can look into.
I think Jack has a point to make there if you want.
Oh yeah, perfect. More the merrier. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, sorry, that's I just chime in there. I would say I'm actually about to graduate myself now. I'm undergrad, I'm not postgrad. But definitely, if you're looking to get people to sign up on things, I've seen some really cool things, mostly in B2B, but from a kind of a BTC kind of standpoint, and me being a student, you want to drive value, obviously. So if you can get people to sign up, but maybe give them something like the ultimate guide to finding a job after college, or whatever it is you're trying to do, just try and say, if you sign up today, we will give you 101 factors you have to consider when coming out of college or whatever. I didn't hear exactly. I'm working away here on my laptop, but I know it's kind of in the kind of recruitment scene. I hope, getting people out of college and into jobs and things. But definitely kind of an incentive to sign up. Say sign up today, or even put in your email today, and we'll download this PDF guide. If you can get some good quality content in that, I think students would vouch, because we're at a kind of a period in our lives when we're trying to learn as much as possible, and that good quality content, especially if it's about finding a job after college, that's something I would kind of buy into.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Jack. That's really good.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.